Hello, hello on this Thursday, September 18th.
Yes.
The Bills game day.
918.
Yes. Got James back here on the pod, second cup of sunrise. I'm Brennan. We have to get right to it. We spent a lot of time yesterday talking
Hyping
about
it
the new dentist.
Yes.
How'd it go yesterday?
How my teeth look.
Look at that. Man, it's better than your shirt. Look at that.
Well, look, the main reason I even go to the dentist is to get rid of the coffee stains.
Yes.
And as much as you hate the first part when they scrape your teeth, they're scraping the coffee stains off. And I told that to my dentist. I was like, this is why I'm here. And they were like, oh, okay. So they like really do a good job.
Do you ever sit there thinking, you're like, wow, they've been working for a while. Maybe this was
right.
pretty bad for a bit. Yeah.
And you can imagine what they told me, got to floss more,
Yes.
right? I mean, I think I could probably floss 6 times a day. And they'd be like, I probably can floss
Yeah,
a little
just
bit more.
more.
Like, come on, I'm already trying my best here.
I know.
But-
You go in and I'm just like, every time I'm just like, I'm going to get a talking to.
Yeah.
Or they're going to shake me down.
Lash
and
me. Yeah.
Sometimes I'll come out and they're like, all right, we're done.
Not
I'm
bad.
like, really?
Yeah, right.
Really? Nothing?
Nothing. And of course, they asked for x-rays, which I was like, no, I always deny that. I do x-rays maybe every 2 years. I'm like,
Yeah.
come on, my mouth isn't changing. I'll be fine. And I have all my wisdom teeth out. That's not a concern either. So, but it was, first time seeing this dentist. So I think they were trying to kiss my butt a little bit to keep me around as a new customer. They will. I set the 6-month appointment, but nice people there. And it's the one time where I kind of do drop that, like, I am on TV. Because I do think that's like, oh, okay, well, I guess
We
I better
really
stop.
gotta make
That,
it, yeah.
haircuts as well. I'm kind of like, by the way, like, don't mess this up because there will be a lot of people that are seeing this.
Yes, you got that.
Right.
And now you've got the pearly whites back.
Yes.
And went ahead and scheduled
Feels
6
good.
months from now. It's one of those things where you have that appointment and they're like, okay, happy Halloween, Thanksgiving,
Yeah.
New Year,
Right.
Christmas. We'll see you in February. Yeah.
It's an awkward time of year, and it was also an awkward time of day. It was a 10:30 appointment, right? So I didn't really eat leading up to it. And then after it, your appetite goes to 0. Your mouth is like kind of swollen.
Yeah.
And they just picked at it. So I didn't eat anything till dinner. So I was like starving by 6 o'clock.
You treated that like surgery. No coffee, no water, no food, anything at midnight.
I know.
Cut
It's
it
just
off.
a little extreme.
A little extreme.
Maybe push that back next time.
Yeah, you got that. Well, I'm glad that went okay. We do have a special guest here in
Yes.
studio today. Want to bring up our third camera. This is Arnie Rothschild from RBTL here on the pod. Welcome.
I appreciate it because I went to the dentist on Tuesday.
Oh, you did? Oh, look at that.
Looks
Yeah, no,
good.
Yes.
Isn't that like, it's not fun, but you do it and you kind of feel good about it, right?
Not even a little.
No? Okay.
I just am there trying to read my phone while I'm in the dentist chair, and that never works.
You try to. I like that. We had this conversation before we get to why you're here and everything you've got going on at the theater. You have more trepidation about going to the dentist or if you've got a mechanic problem and the car's got to go to the shop? What's worse?
Boy, I can build in West Her into this conversation.
I was going to say, the auditorium
I
theater.
never have a fear with anything having to do with a car.
Yeah.
It's the
nice.
dentist.
That's nice.
The dentist, yeah.
That's
yeah.
what we have to do.
And it is kind of like is the cavity conversation going to come up? Is something
Yeah.
going to show up? Am I going to get a clean bill of health? So yeah, for sure.
This is wild. Well, I like that. And for the Western Auditorium Theater, had a big event this week. This is the years long restoration with tour in the middle to play on that for the production. Can you just sum up what was unveiled this week? We'll start there.
Well, first of all, this building is approaching 100 years old. We have owned the theater portion of it for 23, almost 24 years, and but when they built the building, beginning in 1928, handicap accessibility was not anything that anybody really thought about or considered.
Sure.
And so we just built a brand new handicap accessible car drop off and brand new entrance. We just restored what is called the Floriano Room, which is named after Joe Floriano, who by the way, opened the convention center. We have a new second floor entertainment space, and we put in new elevators and a walk-through so that people can ride up in the elevators. But that back entrance, that was a huge addition. So now when people come to the theater, it's going to change dramatically how people that have special needs or want to use that entrance can enter the theater. The hallway is 15 plus feet wide. It used to be a real narrow, windy, difficult kind of hallway. But it's kind of shocking when you see the work that's been done, because to the credit of Pike Construction and Labella Engineering, they kept the best of history, but also have addressed the current amenities that people really want and need. And this is the first of many steps along the way of a total restoration to be completed by 2030.
And that'll be the 100th.
The 100th
birthday.
anniversary.
Yeah.
Right.
Was there? Explain how you're doing this also in phases, because you're not taking seasons off. You're not saying, you know what, we're going to be dark for a year or 2 years to get everything done, of being able to squeeze it in and piece by piece.
Well, there's two important considerations, and certainly that's one. We don't want to close the theater. The other is that we want to be really responsible in how this is funded. So there's currently no debt on any part of the complex. And our goal is to only start a stage when we've identified the funding. And let me explain why. When the community over a number of years studied the need for a performing arts center, everybody agreed that beginning 29 years ago that there should be one. But one of the concerns and criticisms was that it would operate at a deficit and that the community would have to subsidize it. What we've done is started with the assumption that debt causes deficits, so there's no debt. We have an operating plan. We've generated a surplus. You're not allowed to say profit in the not-for-profit world, so we've generated a surplus 25 of the last 26 years.
Wow. That's great.
We bought the other part of the complex out of cash reserves, so there's no debt, and there's not going to be any debt. To that end, we're not going to start any stage of the restoration without having identified the funding. We'll do some short-term borrowing, waiting for the money to come from whatever. But key is there will never be debt on the complex, and there will be an operating plan that ensures that it operates at a again, can't say profit, but that it operates cash positive for a minimum of 15 years out.
There's so many projects out there that we talk about that are delayed, more expensive. Have you run into any snafus like that where we're waiting on a part, it's going to be another 6 months, it's going to cost X amount more? Have there been any big issues?
Well, the one difficulty was when we installed 2 new elevators, because the elevator shafts were original to the building, so we had to rebuild but getting parts for elevators, so
those are very specific.
well, and it, 2 elevators and installing them was about $2.5 million. So it gets costly, but
A lot of certifications and things like that.
yeah, and also the fact that there's such demand for new construction elevators, and the technology's changed. So, and then when we got to the second floor and we were creating this walkthrough, we had to break through not only walls, but vaults.
Oh, man.
See, this was originally built as a Masonic complex, and so every Masonic lodge had their own vault. And so we had to go through vaults.
Cement and metal and
so let me tell you one other funny thing about the building. When it was built, it was originally coal heated. And so
cold heated.
Coal.
Oh, coal.
Yes.
Okay. COAL. Yeah. Coal.
So yeah, sorry about that.
No, that's okay. That's
I went to
fascinating. I've never.
I went to the dentist city before yesterday.
Yeah, right. There you go.
So you fill in all the coal storage areas.
Yeah.
That took 38 concrete trucks to fill in all the.
And they're burning coal like in the building.
They did it back in the day.
That's wild.
Back in the day.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah.
The
history of it.
And I think somebody probably had to shovel that coal.
Sure.
So, but again, it was 1928. Think about the fact they started building this in 1928, which is right before the Depression. They dedicated it in 1930. Now they're in the Depression, and they have all these Masonic lodges that had committed to funding that no longer could fund. So the project from the get-go was under cash pressure. But it is the most amazing bit of construction you've ever seen. And there are places in that building that people have never seen that are shocking. We showed one, we encouraged people to see the 4th floor, which is called Cathedral Hall. It is the most beautiful 500 or so person theater I've ever seen. It's incredible.
I didn't even know it was there.
But
The
most
second
people
one.
don't know that.
Yeah. Wow. What is what's the next big step? The next thing that would change or be improved as part of this?
Well, as we sit here, we are in a heavy construction in the front of the building with brand new wide sidewalks, kind of a plaza. We're replacing all the stairs. By the way, there were 5 or 6 green patina colored brass huge fixtures, about 12 feet tall, I think, and from the original construction. So we've taken those and we're installing lights in them. So when they go back up on the brand new stairs and walkways, they're going to be illuminated entirely. And it'll
that'd be cool.
The whole front of the building is going to look different. So that we're going to finish that stair project, which is critical. And then next summer, we're going to expand our VIP lounge by taking down a wall that was put up, we think, in 1970, and expanding it by a third. And on the far end, and this is part of the old building thing, right? On the far end, there's a huge grand fireplace that,
Like
that
that.
people are going to see for the first time.
Oh,
That-
nice.
We're going to be moving dressing rooms. We are going to be restoring the cathedral hall that I talked about to bring that online. And then we have a 2 years down the road stage. And one of the big things we have to do is air condition the entire complex because they didn't have air conditioning in 1928 and 30. And then the final stage will be expanding the lobbies. And we have a design that glasses in the extension so people can see the original construction because we deal with the preservation folks and landmark folks. But so step by step by step, we're going to get this done. And again, critical is we're not going to add debt.
So the fireplace is a spot that you guys want to showcase. Is there anything else from the old theater that you're going to try to build out and showcase?
Well, when people see Cathedral Hall, it's going to be shocking. It will become, I think, the preeminent wedding venue in the community. It is so beautiful. It defies sitting here describing it. It's impossible. But we're also building out space for the Rochester Music Hall of Fame that's moved into the complex. The Cathedral Hall is a space where organizations like Garth Fagan Dance will want to perform smaller comedy music, but people are going to want to have a ton of weddings in there. It was interesting when we bought the rest of the complex, there were 13 churches in there.
13.
Wow.
Yeah, including, well, it's
Fit 'em all in.
It's 200,000 square feet.
I just got room for it.
We have, by the way, we were kind of walking around the second floor one day where we built this new entertainment space, and there's an old restroom there. And our chief revenue officer, Linda Glosser, cannot walk by a door without opening
Without
it.
opening it,
Just
yeah.
curiosity,
She
right?
opened the door, and then she opened the door in the stall, and then she found another door in a wall, a small door. And so she opened that door, and we found pipes for a pipe organ that we didn't even know was there.
Wow.
And so we didn't know where the organ was. So then we went into
Yeah.
one of the church spaces and found an almost 100-year-old organ covered up. She flipped the power switch, and it still works.
That's amazing.
It's incredible.
Was this was recently?
Yeah, it was 5-6 months ago.
Oh
So-
man, that's amazing.
Well, let me explain. It was,
Yeah.
So, we're trying to track down all the history of the complex, right? Including the fact that if you're in the main theater and you look up into the dome, whatever, there are actually 64 squirrels designed in there that you don't realize are squirrels until you really look at it, right? But we're trying to find out all the history. But one thing we did find out in all these ritual rooms that the Masons had, there was always an organ in the ritual room as part of their rituals. But there was only one organist, and there was a light system, and there were 5 of these and 5 different organs, and they would flash a light when they wanted him to move to the next ritual. And then there are secret hallways that he would go down so he didn't get in the way of any of the traffic pattern
wow.
within the building. So there's a lot of these kind of unusual things in the complex.
All I'm thinking about is just like Dan Brown has a new book, Secret of Secrets. You know, everything with Robert
Yeah.
Langdon, Da Vinci Code. I'm just
Yeah.
thinking about all this history and exploring. That's wild.
That's so cool. And then you run into a door that might be locked. You just got to, okay, let's pick the lock, figure out what's behind it, basically.
Yeah, and listen, we found the original printing plates from 1930 when they printed the dedication program.
Oh man,
And
for
we
the
sent them-
opening shows.
Yeah.
That's right. So but it's fascinating. And the other day when we did this ribbon cutting, there was some representatives from the Masons, and what we talked about was them helping us find more and more of the history, because you're not sure what's real.
Right.
So someone would say, well, the squirrels are because the architect's wife likes squirrels. Well, we don't know whether that's true. Right?
Yeah,
So-
right. You don't have necessarily proof. So it just seems like it's like looking for dinosaurs. You find something, you see it's good, but you got to slow down
Yeah.
because you want to make sure it stays preserved,
You
right?
find one organ, and then it's just like, wow, now
Yeah,
here's
where
all
does
these
this lead
bells
to?
like buzzing a doctor, like it's time to go to the next
Yeah.
room. It was wild. A lot of this is about just, and we see this with much bigger venues, different places, the experience of going to the theater. What have you heard from people so far when you have opened up different pieces of this that have been changed?
Well, first of all, keep in mind that up until Monday, people hadn't seen all of this brand new entrance and what we did in Glassing and Floriano Room. And the most common word that has been used is shocking, because they couldn't envision how you take something approaching 100 years old and while you're preserving a room, you're also dealing with the amenities that people expect. So when you walk in this new wide hallway, for example, there are a series of television screens on the walls that will show different things, and down the road what you're going to see. So you try to take the best of the new, but also be mindful of essentially a restoration, which is what we call it deliberately. It's a restoration. And, it's going to be $65 million. By the time we complete, it's probably $70 million. And we have some funding to get done and fundraising to do, but we funded approaching 20 right now. So we're in good shape.
That's great. Yeah, just like running cables, I imagine. If you look at the basement of this building, there are just tubes of just hundreds and hundreds of cables. And like you said, if you're rigging TVs up all over the place, that's just a lot of cables. And putting cables into an old building that was never designed to put cables in, it's kind of a trickery involved in that, right?
Well, also, if you go back to the thickness of walls and materials they
right.
used, just creating wireless internet through the complex
Sure.
is a
Trying to get a
challenge.
signal from
Right.
one room to
Yeah,
the next.
there's a series of translators everywhere.
Yeah.
So there's a lot that you don't even think about when
Sure.
you begin. But by the way, I used to tell our folks when we were about to close on the complex, I said, mark my words, be careful what you wish for, because you're going to run into things the likes of
Yeah.
which you had no sense of what you're going to see.
Man, love that history. And finally, I've run into it a couple of times in the lobby for nights of shows. You love hanging out in there. I love it. It's like, mingling, people you haven't seen in a while. You're there for a lot of nights. What do you just love about being there in the crowd?
I love the reaction of people enjoying the show. It's really a fascinating dynamic, because most of the time the wife wants the husband to go to the show, right?
Yeah.
And so you're watching her reaction and his reaction. So, for example, there's a great show called Cats that has toured for years.
Yeah.
The
Yeah,
most
sure.
common thing you hear in the lobby at intermission is the husband says, I have no idea what this is about. What this is about.
right. Yeah. Why are we watching this?
But you watch people love it. It's a thrill to watch people love being there. It's just it's a wonderful feeling, and I can just stand off to the side. The other thing I like to do, by the way, that when people want to have their picture taken in front of one of the RBTL logos and whatever is, I'd like to just offer to take their picture.
Nice.
It's just kind of it's wonderful to be part of their experience.
Help them make that memory.
We're the exact opposite when Les Mis comes around, because it's me telling Steph,
Yeah,
we're
you gotta
going.
tell-
This is
tell the
it.
wife, yeah,
and
we're
by
doing
the
it.
way, 3 hours, once those lights flicker,
Yeah.
you got to be in to have that.
Nice.
And Hamilton, you going to see it again?
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
it's the greatest thing I've ever seen done.
It is.
It really is, and the Um, It is everything that I didn't pay attention to in high school when people were talking about the American Revolution.
Told in such a great way.
Yeah, it is.
And now it's like I can relate to it.
Right.
That's fun. Arnie, thanks for stopping by.
Yeah.
And congrats.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
Yes.
Great to see what's to come next in a few years.
5 more years and a big 100. We're going to be back in just a second with more Second Cup of Sunrise. That was awesome.
Great stuff.
That was way more than I thought it was going to be. And
Yeah.
I say it in the nicest way because whenever Laura, who runs the PR over at RBTL, and said that Arnie wanted to come on, you know, if we
Yeah.
could do an interview segment for the regular show,
Right.
or just to talk in depth about it, I was like, come on the pod and we'll
Yeah.
just see. We have a little bit more time.
And this way we could. The TV's 3 minutes. This was as long as you wanted.
Yeah, about 20 minutes, and then it was like Nicolas Cage, National Treasure, all these hidden compartments
that you
secret
would not
doors.
have heard if we just did a normal interview. That was cool.
Next time I'm in there, I got to look up at the ceiling, try to see those squirrels. That
Yeah.
are the little models, maybe they're gold or whatever,
Right.
up in the top of the dome. It was wild.
Yeah, amazing. $70 million. We were saying that seems cheap.
Right. For a 100-year-old building to make it, you know, apart from the outside, which they're changing a lot when you look at it, and then go inside and everything be modern. And who knew all these secret rooms, the different floors, and
I feel like you'd start construction and you'd have to constantly stop and be like, oh, wait, we got to make
Right.
sure we take care of this. And that's like a headache in itself.
then people having weddings. Man.
Right. I know this whole separate venue in the place that like
13
we've never
churches?
seen before. Doesn't make sense, but
I just didn't know it was that big.
it's
Everything
20,000
around.
square feet.
No, I don't know. This is wild. That was a lot of
crazy.
fun. So we'll have a little bit more about that on our noon show as well. And of course, once the season gets going, I believe it's Clues the first show this year, and then Hamilton again. Those tickets on sale coming up. We got a couple minutes left. We can talk a little bit about what's going on here.
Yeah, look at
Let's
this.
share a picture.
Okay, so CJ, my 2-year-old, has no fever, but like a super runny nose and like a little bit of a cough, right?
Welcome to pre-K.
Yeah,
in
exactly.
school.
A little bit of a cough and then a runny nose, right? And if you bring your kid to school with a cough and a runny nose, you're like, what is that kid doing here, right?
Right.
So we wanted to send her to preschool. And so we're like, you know what? Let's throw a mask on her, right? We're nervous about it. Lauren puts the mask on her. And then she was totally fine with it. She loved it. She was happy to wear it, actually. And then we were like, okay, perfect. And, you know, we got some like glancing eyes from people
Right.
like, why is she wearing a mask? And
Airplanes and helicopters. Cute.
isn't that cute? And,
Yeah.
and she pulled it off and she did it and she had a good day and she went home. And I think we need to destigmatize this
I was
and
about to
make this
say-
normal.
You mentioned about getting looks or whatever. Like, who cares?
Right.
Like, yeah, I go to drop my child off and I may see 2 kids always sniffling in the corner, whoever it may be.
Yeah.
I may be like, oh man,
Yeah.
here we go. But I'm not gonna give you a look or anything.
Right.
And I'm like, if I'm just bringing my kid, like,
Have
who
a mask.
cares?
And I think like personally, I will say, I think if you're wearing a mask to prevent yourself from other people getting you sick, I
Yeah.
think that's a little extra. But if you yourself don't have a fever, but just have a runny nose and a little bit of a cough, throw the mask on yourself to protect other people. So we did that to put on her so the other kids don't get sick, and then we're good to go. You know, I think that's a perfectly normal thing to do, and then people should do that on a more regular basis. If someone's wearing a mask because they're getting over a cold, like our boss did that the other week. You know, he had the flu, was home sick when he was bedridden, but when he came back to work, wore a mask for a couple of days.
I know.
To, you know, prevent us from getting sick.
I think about it when I'm in the grocery store too. Like, you just don't know. Maybe that person's sick, and it's like, thank you for not affecting me.
Yeah.
Or maybe someone has some health condition, and it's like, just whatever, just
It's fine.
live your life. It's
Right.
fine.
If
Go
your
on.
2-year-old can do it, I think we all can do it.
That's true, and it's a cute pic. It is.
Right?
It is. Before we get out of here, got about a minute left. I want to hear from Josh Allen real quick.
Yes.
See
Game tonight.
how his nose is looking ahead about the Dolphins. They're almost 13-point favorites, but they don't want to take anyone lightly.
They're playing a lot better than maybe what their record shows. Their front over there is filled with a lot of guys that can get after the quarterback. So we got to be on our P's and Q's and understand what they're going to try to do to us. you know, they're pretty unpredictable in terms of, you know, when and where they're blitzing. So making sure that I'm seeing as much as I can, watching as much film as I can to try to pick up on cues.
Like that.
How
Doing all
about
right.
that?
No,
Just a little bruise here, and it looked like he had something like kind of a bruise under his eye too.
Yeah.
So I'm thinking when he whacked himself, it was.
he looked pretty good. He probably had the visor on tonight. We got the game. It's on Prime or NFL Plus.
Right.
Tell everybody.
Amazon.
That's where to find it. We'll have a full recap and reaction coming up tomorrow. Got the pod and Sunrise as well. See you, everybody.
Get the Rochester First streaming app today for everything you love from News 8 On Demand, plus exclusive shows you won't see anywhere else. Search ROC and download for free on Roku, Amazon Fire, and Apple TV.